But I had called my mum, I think a few days after taking off the ring, to say, there's a proposal, but don't get excited because I'm going to give the ring back. And I'm actually going to move out because I was staying with this person. You don't get into a relationship with beliefs ukuthi it's going to end. I think anybody that falls for another person, they believe it's going to last forever. When I met this person and, he had the qualities of a good father, I saw potential in him being a great father because of how he interacted with young kids. And at some point you actually realize, why am I crying for this person? And you actually start feeling stupid that I actually cannot believe that I've been crying for this person. I'm not going back there. No. Yeah. I refuse to go back there. No. No.
The show is Engineer Your Life, and I'm Lungelo, KM. Of course, you're clicking because you're about to enjoy another growth conversation that I'm going to have with my amazing guest who's joined us today. Before we have that conversation, don't forget to like this episode. Don't forget to subscribe because, as you know, as I consistently say, that when you subscribe, it helps us to search for greater stories and grow together. Getting into our conversation. It's not every day, especially for me, Lungelo, umfana, young boy from Umlazi, born there more than 30 years ago. It's not every day that you meet somebody who you would see from far, Umlazi, dusty streets of Umlazi on TV, and you'd be like, that beautiful, tall woman. How do people live like that? Oh my gosh, she looks like she's living large and fancy in Johannesburg. So I'm absolutely privileged, Sonia, to be sitting across you today. I can confirm she's even more prettier in real life. Promise you. Why are you blushing?
Why am I blushing? So Lungelo.
How are you?
Yeah, Pino.
I'm fantastic. How's your heart today?
How's my
heart?
My heart?
Yeah.
I think it's warm.
Yeah.
It's fuzzy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because of the day of the week. Mm-hmm. I think everybody is in a better mood on a Friday.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to the weekend. I have an event tonight, so beautiful day lined up.
I mean, I know you obviously would look good for being on camera, but you strike me as a person who just always looks good.
You are too kind. What can I buy for you today?
Not that other thing. I won't mention it.
Yeah. No, not that one. Yeah. No. I when I step out of the house, I mean, it's a different story. Obviously, if I'm just dropping off Noah, at school, picking him up, I'm just an ordinary mum. No frills, no fuss, no pretentiousness.
Yeah,
that's just me being the authentic me. But of course, today I decided I'm going to get dressed up for you.
Show up.
Yeah. and show up. Yeah.
Yeah. There's Sonia Pule before Noah. There's Sonia Pule before marriage. There's Sonia Pule before the businesses. There's a Sonia Pule.
Before Nathan as
well.
Before
Nathan as well.
Yeah.
There's a Sonia Pule who's a young girl. Vulnerable, going through the normal trajectories that a young girl goes through. Take me to Sonia Pule, 13 years old.
13, that's when I'm in my first year in high school, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. Still a straight A student.
Still.
And then I'm not sure what happened. I think high school was traumatic. High school had its own pressures.
Really?
Yeah, because my high school was way bigger. I'd say 4 times bigger in size and in the number of pupils than my primary school. I mean, my primary school was a walking distance from where I was born and grew up.
Yeah.
And where I was buttered, till the age of 17, 18. And I think there couldn't have been more than 150, 200 at the most. So now I'm going to a high school where there's like at least 5 grade 8 classes. And every other grade has got at least 3 or 4. The numbers go lower as you go to 11 and 12 because there's a lot of dropouts, as we all know. Most schools experience that anyway. So high school was overwhelming. It was a shocker, that this is a community on its own. So I think all that, in the excitement of being in big school, as we call it, I think that's why the turn of that trajectory from going upwards to down in terms of my academic results, but it didn't end up too badly, I think.
Would you say there was remnants of bullying, perhaps?
It definitely continued. I mean, I experienced bullying from as far as I can remember, as far as I can recall. Whether it being about my very, very dark complexion, because when you grow up in the township, when you're very dark like me, automatically you ugly, and everyone who's light is automatically beautiful.
Rolling eyes.
yeah. It's a bore. But yeah, asikolap. So. Growing up like that, and with me, there were extremes. Not only was I very dark, I was also very tall and very skinny. So I'm very unusual. I'm towering over everybody. And little did I know, obviously, that years later, that was going to end up being the thing that actually distinguished me and started making me money and built this brand that I am today. So I look back and I'm like, look back at those people who used to tease me, bully me, and I'm like, how's your life? Man, it's amazing. Yes,
Grade 12, did you know that you would actually use your beauty and being distinguished to build a career out of, or were you still confused because high school was a bit of a mishmash for you?
Remember when you are told too many times that you're ugly by mere fact that you are very dark, right? You at some point you start believing it, right? So I never went out there or grew up into believing that, ooh, I'm now beautiful. But there was definitely a change when I first entered Face of Africa. And that's when I started seeing myself differently. But even prior to that, when I started winning beauty pageants, I mean, in high school, I won Miss Uniform. I was Miss Prudence at some point. So I started to see myself for who I truly was. And I started seeing myself for the beauty that I am because mostly, it's in my own way, Somebody else might see something different, but it's not important. Your opinion of me is not important to me. Mina mangis buga. I'm loving what I see, and I see beauty because it's not only outwardly. I know I'm not a bad human being. I've got my flaws like everybody else on this earth. But I never dwelt on that beauty. Remember, I mentioned the fact that when I left primary school, I was a straight A student, and then it dropped a bit. So the focus was never on the beauty, obviously. Academics were very important to me. Excelling in school was important to me because I've always read articles or watched on TV growing up that, people saying education is the key to success. If you want to get out of poverty, you must go to school so that you can be educated enough and get a decent job and move out of Elogishi because there's no life there. Remember, you grew up with people telling you, work hard so that you can get out of these dusty streets, that you speak of in With me, it was in Soweto. So I knew that I had to do well at school. I had to maintain my grades in order for me to build or establish a better life for myself as the years went on after school here. So that was the mission.
So do we go into varsity immediately after school, or are we still confused? We like,
No. There's no confusion. I knew exactly what I wanted to study. My
Sure.
first option was to be an architect. So I wanted to study architecture or mechanical engineering because I was a tomboy. I wanted to be a mechanic, a moto mechanic.
yeah.
I was always fascinated about how engines work, performances of the engines, and how all the mechanics of a vehicle worked. I mean, I started dismantling my VCR recorders at home, and whether they were brand new or not, I would take them out of the box. I'm an adult, I at work, and here I am pulling apart a VHS machine, and I'm curious about what's happening at the back of the TV, and I'm tempted to open it to see how the mechanics were put together. But of course, a TV, I think I didn't want to touch because I knew I would be in trouble if I couldn't put it back together. VHS was something different because then, do you even know what a VHS is?
I know.
Oh.
Video. You could hire.
Here I am talking, and you're probably thinking of me.
No, I'm born 94, so I'm.
Oh, you clued up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So things like that. So I was always having a curious mind. So what prevented me from studying further straight after matric was the fact that the financial means, the financial muscle was not there. Mum was working very hard, living like a single parent, because family dynamics, were just not allowing her to, be the mother that she wanted. And I'm talking in terms of, affording me the opportunities or that I wanted, or put my heart to. So the best thing that I could do was an executive secretarial course.
Yeah.
That's what she could afford. So I did that for a year. And at the time, you might not know this, but at the time, so-called temping, so temporary jobs, they used to call it temping. There was a company, an HR recruitment company. It used to be called Kelly Price, I think.
Yes.
So they would find you piece jobs, but as an executive secretary. So you coming in and filling in for a secretary who's pregnant and they're going on maternity leave, for example, or sick leave for a couple of days. They call you, you go in. It's like a last minute thing, or day before, or even in the morning, and then you have to get ready and go there for a couple of days. So it was not frowned upon to be, working 3 days here, the next week you're at a different company. It was a thing. It was called temping. So I started doing that, big, small companies, but I was just happy to get a bit of money because during that time I also studied modeling. So I would attend auditions and then also go in temps to make money so that I have money for taxis to attend those auditions. So that was me.
Are you still living in Soweto then?
No. When I started temping, I was, renting a very, very, very small cottage in Sandton. But in Sandton, the location was important.
Sandton girl.
Because I wanted to be central to all these temping
companies.
Yes, exactly. Because they were mostly in Sandton.
Yeah.
It was so small. It's Sandton, but it was very small. But hey, I could afford it.
Hey, family, quick one. As you know, our podcast is all about growth conversations. It's all about igniting your power. It's all about healing the inner parts of who we are that are difficult to deal with and difficult to manage. As we do that, we'd like your assistance in growing the platform by you subscribing, by you liking all our videos. It helps us to reach greater audiences and change more lives. Do continue enjoying the episode. I actually don't want us to just swiftly pass through that, because the importance of being in the vicinity of what you want, no matter how small it seems, and no matter how demeaning to somebody else it might seem, because you're saying it was really, really small. Can you speak to the importance of being in the location of your blessing that you want, and just always surrounding yourself with it?
Remember, first of all, if you have the vision and you see yourself owning a penthouse one day in Sandton, you're seeing all these high-rise buildings, right?
Yeah.
Everybody aspires to that life. Okay, not everybody aspires to a city life, but if your plans are to make as much money as possible, you want to be in the hub, economic hub. And yes, Sandton was not the economic hub at the time. I think Joburg CBD was.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that lifestyle in Sandton, and also, less noisier compared to Soweto. So there's less distractions. Therefore, I could focus on establishing myself. But it made sense to also be in the vicinity of my employment opportunities to cut costs on traveling because I did not have a car. So when I did my calculations that, you're going to be spending this much a month on taxis, and it also takes you about an hour, 2 hours from Soweto to get to Sandton because of traffic. So it made no sense for me because, I'm a very calculated person. So I thought, no, it makes no sense for me to remain in Soweto. So let me find whatever it is that I can afford. And to me, it did not matter that it just fitted a single bed. I just wanted a place to sleep, and it just made sense for me to be in the vicinity.
Yeah.
That's all there was to it. To it.
I'll start pushing you in these early 20s when you are temping and you are busy trying to establish your career. What is your idea of love and romantic love then? Are you scared to fall in love? Are you like, oh, my mom taught me only to look for a husband? Which one of the girls are you?
I'm that girl. Mom had me when she was 16. My dad was 17, and I was 6 weeks old when my dad was brutally murdered. So 6 weeks. So I have no recollection of my dad. So my parents were very young. So you can imagine my mom was very strict because she did not want me falling pregnant at the age of 16 because she knew that she had messed up. And my grandparents reminded her daily that, moshile, So her strictness, she made it very clear that I do not ever want to see a boy next to you. I better not catch you at a street corner kissing a boy growing up. I do not want to hear the neighbors saying they saw you hugging a boy at a street corner or outside the house, outside the yard. So I knew that if I got involved into whatever teenage relationship or even early in adulthood, there would be problems. But obviously, once I started temping and I moved out, I was independent. Mom was not there to monitor me, right? So I could do my thing. I could start dating. But it took me a while to start dating because remember, all these things, from the bullying, the confidence was still not
shaky.
up. It was still a bit shaky.
Yeah.
And I still, the self-esteem as well was very low. So my main focus was just to survive, to work and survive and save a bit of money so that I could one day afford to study my architecture degree. So for a long time, I was not dating, even as a young adult. No, I was not interested. But also because of the confidence. I think more than anything, the confidence. And as I started modeling and I started traveling more, I realized that I had no business being in a relationship because there were going to be very few men who would put up with my schedule because I was hardly ever in one city at a time. In season, all models will flock to Cape Town, from your September till about February the following year because there's more job opportunities modeling wise in Cape Town. So there were a lot of traveling. At some point I was in New York. At some point I'm in Tripoli. At some point I'm in Japan. So you can imagine, I just assumed that there was not going to be a man who was going to put up with that. So I was like, okay, well, let's just do this modeling thing. Let me live my life, vicariously the way I want without anyone tying me down. And I did that for years.
Interesting that you say that because I'm sensing that a mixture of remnants of bullying and trying to understand who you are, gaining that self-confidence as a young woman, as a young adult, mixed with your mom being strict. So you didn't want to disappoint your mom at all. You wanted to make sure that you remained a pure woman who loves herself, who values her self-worth, and who says, Mom, the only time I'll come to you is with a husband. If God's willing, the only time I come to you is with a husband. And you think that's the reason why the only time you went back to Mom was with the husband?
No, it was with not a husband. You're making it as though I went to home affairs or I eloped and I brought home my husband and said, my husband. No, I didn't do that. No. Oh, no. No, no, that would have given my mom a heart attack. No, I think it would have given me a heart attack as well. No. It was not like that. Interestingly enough, when I started dating, the guy proposed within a few months. He put the ring on my finger when he proposed. And then the following morning, I woke up and I was like looking at the ring and I'm like, what have you agreed to and what have you committed yourself to? Because first of all, you are not ready to commit. And second of all, is this really the person you want to spend the rest of your life with? And I took off the ring when I went to the shower that following morning of the proposal. So I showered, took off the ring and put it back in the case and I put it in the safe. And I think I made an excuse about why I took off the ring. I made an excuse about needing to go for an addition for my for bracelets and watches, and I needed to take off the ring because I'm taking pictures and they're gonna put their own jewelry on. I think I made up some story. I cooked up a story, but then of course the rings remained in the safe for a very long time because I conveniently forgot to put it back on. But then reality hit, that you actually do not want to be with this person. So I broke it down. But prior to that, I had called my mum. I think a few days after taking off the ring to say, there's a proposal, but don't get excited because I'm going to give the ring back. And I'm actually going to move out because I was staying with this person. I'm going to move out because I'm not ready to commit, and especially to this particular person. So I did that. Mum understood, and she also expressed that I was too young. Maybe even naive, but she didn't tell me I was naive, but she just said, you're too young.
And how old were you?
I was 19. So long story short, gave the ring back and I found my own other very small cottage, still in Sandton. And I continued with life, did not date anybody for a long time, and then continued with the traveling, the modeling, traveling. But I think also another reason, besides the fact that I was too young and this person was not for me, I thought, and I still believe strongly, no regrets there. But also a part of me had always wanted to enter Miss South Africa.
Okay.
And Miss South Africa at the time, you could not have had a child.
Yeah.
You couldn't have been married. They changed the rules a few years ago.
Sure.
And you couldn't actually have a boyfriend known publicly. You could have hide the relationship. You actually had to live your life as though you did not have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
So that was a third reason. So I had reasons not to accept the proposal. So yeah, that's me.
Fair reasons now that you're reflecting, because at 19 you are relatively naive as a human being. I don't think you, if you had a daughter, you'd want your daughter to be married at 19.
No, definitely not. No. I had my first child at 26. I look back and I still feel I was too young. I know. At the time when I was 26 and pregnant with Nathan, our firstborn, a lot of my peers were
on their
the third child. But me personally, because different strokes for different folks, right? When I look back, 26 was too young. There's still so much that I wanted to achieve before having my first child. But of course, things happened the way they did. And I love Nathan. No regrets.
Absolutely.
No regrets.
Absolutely.
Just I could have just waited a bit longer, but no regrets with Nathan. Of course, years later, Noah came, but Noah was 30. Yeah.
Closer to your mid-20s, you then gave love a chance again. Why do you give it a chance again?
Because I was ready, and I met somebody whom I thought I was gonna, spend the rest of my life with. Nobody goes into a relationship thinking, I'm just gonna spend time, unless of course you've got an agenda, ulterior motives. Unless you've put it on the table with this person that, hey, I'm just passing time, I'm just wanting a companion for, this part of my life, as they say. And if the other party is okay with it, then no harm, right? Because you're open about it. But I'm a loyal person. So when I met this person and, he had the qualities of a good father, I saw potential in him being a great father because of how he interacted with, young kids, loving and very patient. And I thought, you know what, I feel the time is right for me to pursue a long-term
Sure.
relationship with this person, because I felt safe, and I felt a lot more mature than when I was 19. Yeah, so yeah.
You felt protected. You felt you could trust. You felt you could build commitment here and build a family.
The time was right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But mostly it's about timing. You
True.
feel I'm ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dumi Masemola, Gang of Instrumentals, excuse me, she sat on that chair a few weeks ago, and I asked her this very question of those first 2 to 3 years together. How does young love feel like?
It's amazing. It's beautiful. It's butterflies.
I want that for myself.
It's it's excitement. Do you want somebody? I don't believe you, but yeah, I think you've got a lover. But anyway, I see collab.
Yeah.
No. It's a beautiful thing, as they say. It's young love, and it's exciting. You don't have any distractions in the form of kids, so you are still enjoying each other. You're spending as much quality time together. So it's amazing. It's a fairy tale. It seems like it will never end. And it seems like this person, pansy at the time, and you're thinking, oh, we're going to grow old together and old age home, and we're going to be, embarrassing each other in the old age home because the other one's got 2 left feet and the other one also has 2 right feet, that type of thing. But
Yeah. Do you remember your first date? Pela, your first date is not like ours. When you were dating a star. My first date with normal people.
Are you really going there? I mean, really, I'm actually going to. I'm gonna stop it there by just saying that it was amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, it was amazing. But I'm not going back there. No.
Yeah.
I refuse to go back there. No. I think I've shared enough here. Ngiyayivala lapho.
Ulethelwe abaphansi, loosely translated, you feel like your forefathers have brought you this beautiful life and this beautiful family you've built. How do you reconcile that it no longer feels that way with yourself? Or when you immediately realize that the fairy tale is over?
Listen, anything that ends, especially if it ends in a way that you never expected, because I will always go back to that thing, Yuguti, you don't get into a relationship with beliefs, Uguti, it's going to end. I think anybody that falls for another person, they believe it's going to last forever. But of course, there are no guarantees in life. I mean, unless you find your soulmate, I believe that if it's a soulmate, maybe you're together forever, or you together for a short space of time. And there's reasons for that, because I don't believe that people always meet their soulmates. I mean, I believe some people die without ever meeting their soulmates, and some might meet them for a short period of time because they're supposed to learn something from that relationship, whatever it is. That's what I believe strongly. So when it ended, just like many relationships, many unions, it ends. It's heartbreaking, but as the years go by and you start to see the reasons why you were removed from a union, you actually start that you took me out of that. Because I strongly believe that if we were really meant to be together forever or for however long, 20, 30, 40 years, the universe would have conspired for you to remain together. But for the fact that you broke ties And the fact that you broke up, it was not meant to be. And people always say, of course, then let them go. And then if they fly back to you, then, it was truly meant to be. In my case, this time around, it's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
We moved on,
Yeah.
and we continue moving on because the acceptance is there that actually it was not for me because it ended the way it did. Because if it was for me, I would still be in it.
I get you.
Right?
Get you. That's fair. That's very fair.
So
And mature.
yeah, oh yeah, but believe in me, it's not an overnight thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here trying to act all superhero, acting like a strong woman because I'm done being strong. People always say to me, "You're strong," and I'm like, I'm actually tired of being strong. I want to be vulnerable. I want to cry. I want to look ugly. I want to mess up my makeup. If I decide to cry, and allow me to be. So it took a lot of work, on myself, because at some point my self-esteem was knocked to the ground. My self-confidence was diminished to a point of at the time I thought a point of no return. But hey, look at me now.
There's a young lady, not even young, there is a mother like you, perhaps in her late 30s, early 40s, who's been married 15, 20 years. And right now they can't believe that their marriage is falling apart. And they think there is no healing and no bouncing back. How do I even begin to accept that my marriage has ended? And they're watching this.
Well, first of all, this person has to surround themselves with people that truly love them, very supportive people, because you're going to need people to anchor you. There's no ways you're going to do it on your own. Impossible. No man is an island, remember? So make sure you tap into those people to anchor you. Otherwise, you're going to crumble, right? Because the process is meant to destroy you. And if you allow it to destroy you, you will crumble and you will be reduced to nothingness. So, and also it's important to know that there is absolutely nothing you can do to change the dynamics that you find yourself in at the time. You need to somehow find a way to let go, and eventually you'll get to a peace where you make peace with it. But like I said, it's not easy, right? But remember all these people who are going to be side by side, in front, behind you, to anchor you.
Anchoring you,
right?
carrying you.
Yeah, that's very important. That will make things okay as time goes and in the long run. But believe you me, you come out the other side like, I like using the word dragon because apparently I sometimes spew fire out of my mouth, apparently. So yeah, my spirit animal that I believe in is a dragon. So if it's a dragon that you want to become on the other side, then be it. But believe you me, that feeling of hopelessness does not last forever. You find your feet again. You start to remember who you were before all this started to bring you down, or drag you down, whatever, depending on whatever, drain you. Yeah. And it ends, and you will not be crying forever. There is no person that cries forever. Tears run out at some point as well. And at some point you actually realize, why am I crying for this person? And you actually start feeling stupid that I actually cannot believe that I've been crying for this person. And you start finding yourself, you start reworking on yourself, whether it's meditation and prayer, whatever it is that you believe in. But believe you me, when they say there is a light at the end of the tunnel, there is. And you, in my opinion, you actually come out the other side better, wiser, stronger, stronger in a way that you're more brutal. You are lethal. You're a no nonsense taker. You know exactly what you want and don't want, and you do not tolerate nonsense. And once the red flag is waved, you make a run for it, because remember, either in your past relationships you had been ignoring all these red flags. So you come out other side wiser, and because you've recognized all these things, right?
And now you're addressing them head on?
And now, if we supposed to be going on our first date, because remember, now I'm in a good space, I start dating again, and you keep me waiting at a restaurant for like 30 minutes, and I'm listening to the excuse, maybe you're busy sending me a text message, but you said you were driving and you said the Bluetooth was on, and then story as slangani, and I'm like, dude, really?
Not the healed Sonia.
Really? Grow up.
Yeah.
I leave the restaurant.
Yeah.
And I block you.
Yeah.
Because, some people say blocking people is childish. I'll be childish. I'll block you. I'll block you on WhatsApp and I pretend like you did not exist. It sounds cold, but yeah. People make you cold. Experiences make you cold, but you're cold when it requires you to be cold. So therefore, you keep me waiting for half an hour at a restaurant. I will make you believe and realize that you're not all that, and I will walk away.
Push you one more time, because I want us to move away from this topic, because this is an important part of your journey as well. There is the unfortunate side that this painful experience for you now is happening, one, in people's eyes in public, and two, there's so much of yourself that you're losing, as you're saying that this process has to destroy you almost completely before you're able to build yourself back up again. But now building yourself back up with understanding of who you are. How much did this take away from you?
It takes away a lot. It's draining, because, like you said, it's happening in the public eye, right? Of course, when you're in the public eye, people are part of that journey with you, whether they like it or not, by sheer fact that you are in the public eye, right? There'll be articles, you in their faces, you're on TV, you walk in the streets and people recognize you, and others empathize, and then others are just being Lucifer's disciples, whatever. But at the end of the day, you realize that, okay, people will continue with their opinions of me, whether they know me or not, and you get to a place where you're like, you know what, my immediate family and very, very close sisters and brothers, I'm talking about sisterhood and brotherhood, I'm not talking about my actual siblings alone, because I don't believe in friendships. I do sisterhood
and brotherhood.
I do brotherhood, right? There's a big difference.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't have friends. Yeah. I've got acquaintances. It's different. So you get to a point where you learn to accept that by virtue of me having a public profile, there's going to be all of this external noise, right?
Noise.
Yeah, surrounding me, and you decide how you choose to engage, how you choose to behave, and how you choose to react to it, more importantly. And, with each experience comes, experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whether negative or positive.
Yeah.
An experience builds experience, right? And you build a thicker skin, another thicker layer. But remember, I already had a thick skin from modeling, because you need a thick skin to survive the modeling industry. Because remember, you critique. Today you go to an audition, your nose is too small, your ears are too big, you're too tall, you're too short, you're too skinny, you're too fat, even though you know you're underweight. But then if a particular client is looking for somebody who looks like they're 50 kilograms, they're looking for somebody who's 50 kilograms. You're 52 kilograms and you're overweight. And you're like, okay, skinny as skeletal as you are. But yeah, so you learn over time that, to also not to take it personally. Because remember, if somebody has not spent 5 minutes with you, they do not know you. So therefore, there's absolutely nothing you can do to change their opinion about you.
They've created a perception on their own.
They've decided that she's a horrible person. She's a horrible mother. She is this, she is that. there's absolutely nothing you can do to change their mind because you don't even know where they're staying. You don't even know who's this person behind, that Twitter or
What
Facebook.
traumas they have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you start to learn that I'm not going to take it personally, and I'm certainly not going to argue with somebody who's got a handle that's a cell phone number, and you're thinking, you're not even brave enough. You don't even
Jabu, 5, 6, 7,
you don't even have
3,
you don't have the balls. You don't have the balls actually to
Yeah.
use your actual identity.
Sure.
And those are the type of people who will always be trolling others because you're hiding behind 083 777 number. So you make no time for such non-entities. I call them. I have no time for non-entity. And I make sure I don't even make time to engage you, and I do not validate you with a response unless vele neskati data and I'm in a queue at a bank, and then I will come for you. Because one thing I can tell you about me is that my tongue can shred you to pieces using my fingers, obviously. But Intezo Pumala will shred you to pieces. Yeah.
Why? Not why. But I saw on a different platform where you were being vulnerable about how much, even on a economic basis, divorce took away from you. Really, how much did it take from you? And how can women getting into marriages now protect themselves from divorce taking away so much from them?
I'm one thing I've always been real. I also posted that there was a point where I went a year without a car. I posted that on Instagram, and I was taken aback by the comments. 100% of the comments, people were shocked. They were like, you are so open and real and authentic. You're not pretending that you are living this life of the glitz and the glamour. And I'm like, but what benefit does it do for me to lie? And I didn't have to share that, but it was my way of saying to people, carry on throwing all these negative things at me without knowing me and without actually knowing what I go through on a daily basis. You see me posting about my activations, for example, and you don't even know that I found myself in Bombela without a car, but I found the means, me being resourceful person that I am, with street pizzazz, and the brains to match, I made things happen. It was my way of saying to another woman out there who's been through or who's going through a divorce to say, things can be taken away from you. You might find yourself homeless and in a shelter, a woman a shelter. But look at some of us. We've lost a whole lot because of this process, whether financially, we lost ourselves, whatever. But I'm sharing so that you reading this and you actually see that if she was able to get out of that situation, if she was able to survive without a car, especially when you know where I live, it's not a place where you can easily get a taxi. And here I am still living, still pushing my brand. So my message out there to women, before you get married, make sure that if you're going to choose to be a stay-at-home mom, for example, it sounds ridiculous, but consult a lawyer. Speak to your person. I'm talking about your husband if you are married. Married or not, that's not the point. The point is that you've sat down with this person and you've both decided that he makes enough money and you're going to be a stay-at-home mom. Get a contract signed by both parties that you stay-at-home mom, you're not earning an income, but you're running the household, you're looking after the kids. It's a job. People look down upon that.
Absolutely.
It's a job. Of course, it's a job you enjoy, right? Because you're raising your kids and you're looking after them. Not many people have that privilege,
Absolutely.
actually, right?
Yeah.
A lot of women, they have to work, right?
Yeah.
And some even 2 jobs, and they still have a child, leaving a 3-month-old at creche. It's a privilege to be a stay-at-home mom. So if you're lucky and privileged enough to be in that position, get a contract that will say, I'm not earning an income, but I'm working at home and I'm looking after our child and I'm cleaning the house, or if there's a helper, fantastic. But if the person is so wealthy that they may just stay at home and look after the kids and run the household, better make sure that you get a stipend of some sort. Whether it's 2,000 rands a month, obviously economic situations are different, right? If he's so wealthy and so well off that he thinks you don't need a job and that you should stay at home because I can afford to look after us, right? Have a contract that will stipulate exactly how much of a stipend you're going to be getting every month. And if possible, get that money put into your own bank account. If you have a joint account, open a separate bank account that's in your name where the stipend is going to go. But if you decide that I know separate accounts and it's just a joint account, let there be evidence of some sort that there's money coming in under your name for, a stipend for, running the household, whatever you're going to call it. It's like my salary, but it's a stipend and it's got your name to it. So that when ish hits the fan, at least you've got a trace that I was earning something, and therefore I've got about 100,000 in my name that I can, at least withdraw for me to be able to afford legal
Basic
fees.
living and legal fees.
Basic living. I can buy toiletries for myself.
Yeah.
Because some women, you get to a point where you cannot even buy yourself toiletries when you're going through all that. It happens. So, be forward thinking about it. I know people are forever saying that if you're married, if you trust each other, there should not be any separate accounts. But that's stupid. That's stupid. Have a joint account, but also have something on the side. I'll go to a point of actually saying, if you find out that he's got a separate account and you also have a joint, go on and open your separate account and don't tell him about it. It's dishonesty, but somebody else is being dishonest, right? Because if he also has a separate account,
sure,
I qualify to have one. So be smart about it. Don't go into a relationship just with emotion. Oh, lovey-dovey, it's a fairy tale. It's going to last forever, because it never does. Not every relationship is a fairy tale. I mean, yes, you do have women like Abu Mama Letambule and Babukafa Seminya who have been married for time immemorial, and they look absolutely happy, and they're gonna die together. They're with each other forever. But it's rare, right? It's rare. So be smart, be financially savvy, and make sure that you've put enough aside. What is enough? It's relative. Someone else's 100K might be peanuts to another woman. So make sure you look after yourself when you still can, because when it hits the fan, it hits the fan.
Do you believe Sonia is living in her purpose right now?
Absolutely. Right now. I'm in a good space, and I'm glad you raised that, because we're all here on a purpose, right? And until you find out what it is, you're just living, right? So I'm at a place where I know that I went through what I went through. Maybe I was a vessel. Maybe I was used as an example to say laws so to teach other women. You find other people going through abuse, and then they ask themselves, why me? But then the question is, if not you, then why must the other person experience that? What's so special about you? So you get to a point where you start realizing that I went through all this so that I can sit here with you today and give these little nuggets of, wisdom, pearls of wisdom to another woman out there.
Liberation to another woman.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if I was the sacrificial lamb, if I can use that term loosely to say that I went through what I went through so that other women could learn from my experience, it's okay. So if that's my purpose, I've long accepted it.
How are we executing this newfound purpose in terms of practically? Are we expanding in business? Are we reforming who we are and how we present ourselves in the world? Because once again, there is a woman out there who's rebuilt herself but is struggling to reestablish themselves in this new identity.
So, obviously, I think with my brand, that's motivation for starters, because I think a lot of women who would have been following what I went through, when they look at how I turned things around and how I am still standing, because I could have crumbled, right? I think that counts for something. I think me being booked to do inspirational talks at corporates, at community halls, at schools, it counts for something, because, of course, I talk about things that I've been through. And people connect more with people that have experienced something.
It's real.
You're not going to go up on stage and talk to people about, how I got myself out of poverty when you were chauffeur driven to school, your Ivy League, boarding school.
Yeah.
People are going to sit there on some like kulumangani.
Yeah.
You have no idea what it's like to live in a shack.
Yeah.
But with me, I can talk about poverty. I can talk about what it's like to put buckets of empty ice creams that were picked up from the corner from a dumping site, because I did live in a shack for about 3-4 years in Orange Farm. A lot of people don't know that about me. In high school, I sat in Mkukwini, a very small Mkuku, way smaller than this room. This room is big. So I can go to Orange Farm and talk to people.
Yeah.
And people can relate.
Yeah.
And I can relate.
Sure.
I'm able to walk into a room full of well-educated, learned people, and I speak with such confidence and with such great veneration. I walk into a room and I'm respected because of the build that the brand that I've built, and the reputation that I have, and the longevity that comes with it as well, because I've got a track record of over 20 years. If you know about my brand, you know that I'm longevity personified. So I can hold my own. So I can go into different spaces. That's the beauty about the space that I find myself in. If it's Women's Day and you need for me to go and speak to women about the challenges of work-life balance, as a full-time working mother, and you chasing up that corporate ladder, climbing it up, rather, how do you strike a balance, or how do you even begin to strike that balance? So I'm at a stage in my life where I can walk into many different rooms and I'm able to adjust my poise in order to be relatable. I'm not going to go to Orange Farm and talk about growing up under poverty, wearing Louboutins. You're not reading the room. You're daft. You adjust. You go there wearing all stars to relate to people. I go into a corporate event. I can wear my Louboutins, right? Because I'm at that level. I don't need to
reduce.
I don't need to
camouflage.
Camouflage. Yeah. That's the right word. Camouflage. So I'm in a good space. I'm able to wear those different hats. Whatever hat that is required on the day. I can adjust accordingly. But of course, my personality stays the same, because remember, I'm authentic. I've lived all these experiences, and I'm relatable. Very important.
What does being a mom mean to you?
Sure, the world. The world. My firstborn, who's 20, he's arriving on Tuesday, counting down. So he's coming back to SA for his 3-month summer break, studying in the US, doing his second year, psychology. An amazing human being. He's got a heart. He's got a beautiful heart. That's my firstborn. And then the 16-year-old, Noah, lives with me naturally. So I see him every day, so I don't miss him as much. Nathan, but I hope they're not going to watch this. I miss them both equally, but Noah's with me 24/7.
Sure.
And he gets to annoy me every day whenever he wants to. Nathan doesn't have that opportunity. Motherhood is first and foremost. It is everything to me. It is my priority.
Mm-hmm.
It is my joy.
Mm-hmm.
You can take it all away, but you come for me and my cubs. I will put a nuclear bomb in this country. Azish.
We've seen it. Hint, hint. Which is fair.
I'm a typical mother hen.
Absolutely.
Make
Absolutely.
no mistake. I'm a
Yeah,
typical mother
yeah.
hen. Yeah.
We're nearing the end of our conversation. Who do you pray to? And when you pray, what's your most dominant prayer?
Sure. So I'm more spiritually inclined, and less religious. Like I said, more spiritually inclined. So that's first and foremost. Modimo le badimo. Don't ask me who's above. I think they're equals. So my prayer will always be directed to them because I feel I will forever be connected to abantu abaphansi, abantu abadala. And it's important for me to acknowledge them, and I respect them because they show you things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people talk about instincts, people talk about dreams, people talk about visions, whether it's your ancestors at play, whether it's the men above at play, you know, the higher being, whatever you believe in. Mina it's Modimo le badimo. So ngibiza bona, you know, mangikhuleka. When I go down on my knees, I call them together. I combine them and ngikhalela kubo, or I go and show my gratitude kubo, and they anchor me.
And would you say gratitude is your most dominant prayer?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much to be grateful for.
Yeah.
There is so much to be grateful for because I look back at some of the things that I went through and I'm like, I had no business surviving that. But here I am. There were times where I think I even looked at myself at some point and I'm like, I know I'm dark, but this time I'm very dark. You know, you get a dark complexion and then you get a dark complexion. Even exfoliation ingasebenzi.
It call it darkness about stress,
Yes.
Yeah.
You are very dark. So I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there. Don't be fooled by how I look now. I've been there. Maybe I was hiding, you know, so that people would not see me. They didn't capture a picture, and then I'm ending up on Sunday newspaper looking horrible because I know a lot of people would have celebrated to see me like that. That did not happen, you know. So being nyama in my sanctuary, and luckily for me, I was well protected. I've got amazing people surrounding me, not just my mother, not just my aunts. I've got sisters and brothers who protected, shielded me, and they showed me nothing but unconditional, non-judgmental love. And that's how I'm able to come and sit with you today, looking absolutely gorgeous like I do, glowing.
Darling.
Yes.
Sonia, what's that one thing in life you know for sure that you're absolutely certain of?
I know that there are many people's lives that I have impacted. And that's a beautiful place to be. Not only because I get DMs on the daily, not only because of the comments on social media, but even so-called random people who I meet when I'm doing groceries. And I think for me, especially men, I have men who come up to me and say, "Yo, woman, you're a force." And that humbles me. Because, you know, men are not easy with their feelings. I'm generalizing, obviously. So it's different when women come up to you and say, "Wow, you've inspired us." And I know for a fact, because of some of the DMs, the amount of women that have come up to me and say, because of you, I actually left that toxic marriage. Because I've seen how you've built yourself from that pit to where you are now. So if I were to perish tomorrow, die, drop dead, Mina, I won't be that dlozi ezoba nomona or inhliziyo embi. I will die
I gave it all.
peacefully because, hey, I lived. And of course, there's still so much that I want to achieve. But in all honesty, to answer your question, if I were to die tomorrow, my corpse will be the most
Peaceful.
and beautiful. Yeah. True story.
A story of resilience, a story of power, a story of impact, a story of being committed to rebuilding yourself and rising above the hate, rising above the negative noise, and rising above even the hurt of being hurt by the people that you had valued the most, that you wanted to build within life. Sonia, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute privilege. I learned a lot. I'm still young and growing. I'm in denial. 30 is not young. In your 30s.
You are a concubine. You are very
You think
young.
so?
Oh, you are young, and you look young, which is a good thing.
Thank you
It's
so
very
much.
important to not
Ne?
only look young.
Drink lots of water and no other things.
There we go. Stay on it.
Thank you so much, Sonia.
No, thank you.
The
Thank
show is
you.
Engineer Your Life, and I'm Lungelo KM. I'll see you guys on the next episode.
Kholwa emandleni onawo.
Oh my, we're finally doing this. What does EYL Africa represent? It's about standing in your power. It's about, in isiZulu, it's kholwa emandleni onawo, which is our tagline. You will see it on the back of my t-shirts. It's about believing in the power that you have, believing in the power that your God, your guides have invested in you. Shop our socks, shop our t-shirt, and yeah, just keep believing in yourself. EYL Africa.
Now available on EYLshop.Africa.